Selamat tinggal.
Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi to our Indonesian participants. In about 10 minutes, we will be starting our fourth presentation of SDRC's webinar series. Hello, good morning everyone. Selamat pagi to our Indonesian participants. Welcome again to the fourth presentation of SDRC's webinar series. Let us first start our activity with a prayer. And this will be followed by a prayer in Islam or Muslim. And now, for the Muslim prayer, let us welcome Mr. Muhammad Dios to lead the prayer.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain. Ya Allah, thank you for all the blessing you have bestowed upon us. We are truly grateful for them. Thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time with one another virtually. Ya Allah, may you send forth your divine wisdom to our speaker so that she would be able to impart effectively her God-given knowledge to all of us. May the speaker and the committee be blessed as they continue to bring their expertise to the people who need them. Bless the participants as well, so they would be able to glean vital information from this activity. May you bestow your blessing after this webinar. We may share what we learn in the spirit of your love and generosity, especially during these difficult times. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Min fadlika subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih, Muhammad Dios. And now, to give you a brief overview of SDRC, I will share you a quick video.
Research makes policy scientific.
Research echoes collective voices.
Research makes the unknown known.
Research answers human curiosity.
Research makes programs sustainable.
Research serves as conscience, as it informs us of what is right and what is wrong.
Research leads us to reality and truth.
Research isn't only for generating knowledge, it's also for celebrating human creativity.
SDRC means research.
Hello again. This is Clarice, your host for today's online event. Good morning, everyone. Salamat pagi to our Indonesian participants. So before we begin, I would just like to share with our participants a few reminders before we move forward for our presentation. Okay, so kindly ensure that your mics are turned off during the session, especially when speakers are presenting. We would also like to request participants to turn off their video cameras to conserve bandwidth during the lecture. We encourage participants to engage with the speakers through the chat box. Note that we will be only accommodating a limited number of questions in the interest of time. Well, regarding sending your questions, we will be posting a Mentimeter code so that you will send your questions into that platform. Number 4, please close any running notification or apps to avoid experiencing internet disruptions or video lagging. Always put your screen on speaker view. Please provide your feedback on this webinar via the Google evaluation form. Thank you very much. But before I turn you over to our guest speaker, may I introduce Dean Jasmine Liana for the welcome remarks. Dean Jasmine.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Good morning to everyone. And I would like to especially say hello to our guest for today in this third webinar of the series of webinars conducted by our Social Development Research Center. Dr. Dia Tiahaya Iman, magandang umaga po sa inyo. Good morning, and to all the Indonesian participants who are with us this morning. And of course, also to the regulars already of the SDRC webinar who are here with us, and the newcomers who are attending for the first time. Good morning. Thank you for coming to this webinar. The pandemic has overturned our lives, and for many of us, it has been really, really difficult. And in the Philippines now, in Manila, where I am, we are still living day by day within our homes, and we are unable to freely go outside of our homes in order to do the regular things that we enjoy doing, including our work. Everybody's working from home. But I always think that I am still very much lucky compared to other people, because for many people within the country, in Manila and other parts of the archipelago and many parts of the world, the experience of the pandemic is really, or has been really, an experience of dying. And we're talking about only two kinds of dying: a sudden death, because of the pandemic, but also slow death. This is very grim, but it's very much true. Many families have suffered death, sudden death, but also slow death. Slow death because of the poverty, of the hunger being experienced by many families, because jobs were lost, people are unable to work and earn, and so on and so forth. And in the midst of this situation, we find the figure of the woman. No, we find the figure of the nanay, the mother. No, in families, and in Filipino, at least in the Filipino setting that I can speak of, the mother, the woman, is always the one who bears the brunt of of everything, trying to survive, day by day, trying to support children and the family day by day, and to support the husband, and so on. In the ancient society of Filipinos, we know about the figure of the babaylan. No, we know about the figure of the woman who is a channel to the divine, and who would bring together everybody in solidarity in the community. Because this is only an opening remarks, I do not want to take so much of your time, but I would like to end just with this figure of a woman, another woman, because the figure of the babaylan, the figure of the woman within the family, is still with us to this modern day, in Philippine society. And I am just reminded of an image that somehow sums up this idea of the woman at the center of it, because an image that comes out of an experience of another disaster, I would say, in our society, and that is the disaster of the EJK, the war on drugs. I'm talking about the photograph taken by Rafi Lerma of Michael Sharon being cuddled or cradled in her arms by the name of the woman is Jennifer Olaires. No, you probably know what I'm talking about. So this figure of the woman, and I do not want to forget this picture as we today talk about the role of women in a matrilineal society. In the talk by Dr. Iman, we think about this figure, this image, and see how we can think of the woman in society, and how we can, either as woman or as man or as other members of society, can be with the woman, with our women in society, and help them gather ourselves together in solidarity in order to overcome our worries. If there is something that we have to be thankful about, because of the pandemic, it is that we are able to gather in this way. And I would like to thank you again for coming to this webinar. And I hope you enjoy and learn from the talk, as I would, definitely. Thank you, Dr. Melvin Habar and his team at SDRC for making this possible. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dean Jasmine. We are always honored to have you and give us a very warm and welcome message. So, in the past few weeks, to most of you or to some of you, you have joined us in the series of webinars focusing on eradicating social inequality. This webinar series is part of the Center's celebration of the 41 years of research in the service of people. We had 3 brilliant experts who shared their time speaking on topics such as how to address the challenges in the access of health services of the LGBTQ community, the concept of gross national generosity as a sustainable model for a post-COVID-19 society, and how media can be used to communicate a change in behavior. And for today's webinar, we will be having an expert from the Universitas Andalas, West Sumatra, Indonesia. And now, to introduce our speaker, may I present the Director of SDRC, who is also a faculty of the Behavioral Sciences Department in the College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Melvin Habar. Dr.
Good morning to everyone. Please allow me to thank our Dean for always gracing our event. And it's so nice to start this webinar with your very nice welcome remarks for our participants. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our speaker this morning. She is a lecturer at the English Department in Postgraduate Cultural Studies with the Faculty of Humanities at the Universitas Andalas, West Sumatra, Indonesia. She is also an instructor of English and Indonesian at the university's Language Center, which she previously headed, and has taught Indonesian for foreigners at Warsaw University, at Nicholas Copernicus University in Poland. Dr. Iman obtained her PhD from Ritsumikan Asia Pacific University in Beppu, Japan, with a dissertation on Minangkabau women migration to Jakarta and Tangirang. She completed her Master of Letter at the University of Sydney. Her research interests are in cultural studies and comparative literature. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Dia Tiahaya Iman.
Dr. Dia, good morning. Selamat pagi. Are you ready for your presentation?
All right. Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. So I already shared the screen for your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Tikan. First of all, before I start, I would like to thank the Director of SDRC, Dr. Melvin Habar, and the Dean of College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Yasmin Bilaba. I hope I can pronounce this correctly. And also, I would like to thank the SDRC staff. I'm honored to have been chosen to be a speaker in this webinar series, and it's such a world-class De La Salle University. All right, I'm going to start. So I'm speaking here as a Minang researcher. Actually, I'm not really what we call the matrilineal cultures expert, but I do know my culture and a little bit about other matrilineal societies in the world. Okay, so the title of my presentation is Gigih Tagih Bundokan Dua, Implication of COVID-19 Pandemic to Women's Role in the Matrilineal Society. So in this case, I'm talking about matrilineal society in West Sumatra, what we call Minangkabau land. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the outline of my presentation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about matriarchal and matrilineal societies, and then I'm going to introduce you about West Sumatra, its people, and their philosophy of life. Then gender roles, yeah, how it is in the society, and then I'm going to focus on the women being Gigih and Tagih as Bundokan Dua, as the implication of COVID-19, and then the conclusion. Next slide. Okay, so now this is like just to give you a brief idea where we are. So that's the map of Indonesia, and then West Sumatra is on the island of Sumatra, and then you can see the circle that is West Sumatra province, yeah, and the capital city is Padang. Next. Okay, now West Sumatra, also known as Minangkabau land, and there are many, how do you say, arguments or people say that the name of Minangkabau comes from different perspective. So here I chose what Van der Took claim that it is from the word Pinang Kubu, which means Tanah Asal or the land of the origin. And Rumah Gadang, that you can see that the traditional house of Minangkabau people, and it identifies one's group and identity. It embodies kinship, gender, and rank. Next. Okay, now the population is quite big, yeah, around 5 million. Minangkabau people, as the ethnic matrilineal society, is among 1,128 ethnic group in Indonesia, and there are about 10 million of Minangkabau people live outside the province. And West Sumatra exports cinnamon, cacao, coffee, rubber, palm oil, patchouli oil, and gambir or betel nut, coal, cement, and it also produces tea, paper, and cloths. So this is like how the government, get the income from. Okay, next. Okay, now I hope Dr. Malvin still remember the taste of Padang food. Padang food is also known as a masakan Padang. And you can find this food all over Indonesia. And it proves diaspora of Minangkabau people throughout the country. And Minang food is spicy. And probably some of you have known that rendang is the best food according to CNN, like back in 2009, 2011 or 12. Okay, next. So spicy food is like reflects the taste and the identity of Padang people everywhere. Now I'm going to introduce a little bit about the differences between matriarchal and matrilineal. So matriarchal concept of motherliness is not the romantic image so often portrayed in patriarchy. Motherhood is the most important function in each society because it ensures its future. Matriarchal societies are consciously built upon the maternal values and motherly word, and this is why they are much more realistic than patriarchies. They are need-oriented, and their precepts aim to meet everyone's needs with the great benefit. Great care is taken to provide a balance between genders, among generations, and between humans and nature. In matriarchal societies, motherhood originates as a biological fact. Next. Now, I'm going to just a little bit how about matrilineal societies in the world. So matrilineal society group adhering to a kinship system in which ancestral descent is traced through maternal descent system. Individuals are related as kin through the female line of descent to the same descent group as their mother, in which property is transmitted through female lineage. It may seem in matrilineal system that men have ambiguous roles and dual loyalties could work. But it is different in different countries. For example, in Kasi, the eldest woman functions as the head, while the youngest daughter inherits the property and the right to continue staying with their parents even after her marriage. Under this situation, the husband of the youngest daughter comes to stay with the girl's family or stays nearby in a different house. The Kasi India are known as matrilineal and also matrilocal society. Next. Okay, now some more examples about matrilineal societies in the world. Bri in Costa Rica. In this area, women are the only people who can prepare the sacred cacao drink for their religious rituals. And in Ghana, the Akan, the men do hold leadership positions. In Masuo, in China, women don't marry. Should they choose to have a partner, the two don't live together, and the mother plays the primary roles in raising the children. Now, in Minangkabau society, the man traditionally marries into his wife's household, and the woman inherits the ancestral home. Matrilineal societies in India are typified by the Kasi in Meghalaya state and by the traditional Nayar in Kerala. Nayar is a little bit different also. Nayar, I think is very interesting. Okay, next. Please. Okay. Now, I want to introduce about matrilineal system in West Sumatra. People address us as also often Padang people, but we are Minangkabau people. Yeah? So, but well known as Minang or Padang people. And it is claimed that, the matrilineal system in the largest matrilineal society in the world. And Minangkabau people are adherents of Islam. The influences from Hinduism and Islam have become important element in Minang people's matrilineal system. So the combination of Islam, that means patriarchal, and matrilineal, it sounds like contradictory to each other. So that's why it is really difficult for many people to understand, and also it makes like a lot of interest for the researcher to come to understand. So the most basic principles of the life of Minangkabau people is what we call adat pasandi sarak, sarak pasandi kitabullah, which means customary law or beliefs based on religious laws, and religious laws based on the holy book, the Quran. We live to respect and learn from nature, and there is another philosophy that Minangkabau people believe, that the natural universe is the teacher of humanity. In Minangkabau we say alam takambang jadi guru. Guru means teacher. Minang life philosophies are embodied in adat or customary law. Adat embodies the traditional customs. Okay, next please. Okay, now we talk about the village and the clan. Minang are attached to their home of origin. That means their traditional house. And Minang people are self-reliant communities. The largest group below the Nagari level or the village, it is called suku, or it is referred also what we call a matrilineal clan. Each Nagari or village, as the extended family unit, has its own guidelines to organize and manage the life of village structures, including individual behavior and relation with kinship members. So there are a lot of Nagaris in West Sumatra province. So every village or every Nagari is different. They have their own uniqueness. Generally, there are 4 types of clans, Koto, Pilia, Bodi, Chaniago, and each clan has its minor lineages. But there are many other what we call lineages or under the clans. Member of a clan share a clan's property, and its leader is entitled what we call penghulu. Next, please. Now, each clan is divided into sub-clans, what we call umbrella or payung in Minang language. And in Nagari, there are also some smaller units called kampuang or village, which has some houses and fields. That means normally rice field, where people live under the same umbrella. Member of the minor of clan usually are descendant from separui, which means they are from the same womb. Each member is attached to customary law and the land of the ancestors, clan, and village. So they are interacted to each other within this small village, not small, like within a village. So they have their own land, referred to the ancestors' land, and the big house. So they refer themselves to, that's what I call in the beginning, that identify themselves to the big house. And marriage in a suku is forbidden, except he or she is from a distant village. For example, my mother is from suku Tanjung, or the clan of Tanjung, and my father also from the same clan, but they are from different village. So that's why I am here. It's like because my mother and my father met, and although they are from the same name of the clan, but they are not really from the same village. So the institutional system of a Nagari or village is a combination between the state custom and religion, which is combined in the framework. In Minangkabau, we say tungku tigo sajarangan, tali tigo sapilin, meaning 3 vessels on a furnace, a twist of 3 ropes. So this institution consists of penghulu or niniak mamat, the titled man, or from the uncles and the mother's brothers, and ulama, the religious scholars, and cadiak pandai, or the scholars. Next, please. So the gender roles in Minangkabau land, it is not easy to understand, and it seems that adat contradicts with Islamic practices. Gender roles in Minangkabau matrilineal society are not terms of superior or inferior statuses. Women and men have a balanced relationship. Women are placed equal to men in relation to their duty and their functional values. Men's authority is not forceful. Men have a marginal relationship to his matrilineal house as sons, husbands, and brothers. Next, please. So now we talk about women's role. Women are symbolized the central pillar of the house, where all the power of other position concentrated. So in the big house, there is there's what we call there are some pillars, and Minangkabau women are symbolized as those pillars in the big house. And a senior or the oldest take care of the ancestral land and the big house, the land and the big house, because they inherit it. She keeps the key to her inheritance, like the lands, houses, and the farms. She also takes care of her own children and gives support and look after her nieces, nephews, and lineage members, but only from the mother's line. So that is the difference between Minangkabau matrilineal society and with other matrilineal in the world. Okay, next, please. So traditionally, a village is the place of birth, where marriage takes place and death, and for many generations of matrilineal clan. And women are attached to their rumah gadang, or to their big house, where their female ancestors are from. Minangkabau women play important roles in their children's education and hold inheritance rights, field, farm, and houses. So they are managing the ancestors' land, and also in general what we call the inheritance from their ancestors. Men are expected to take jobs elsewhere and occupy political and religious positions. In rural Minangkabau land, women are neither oppressed, subject of the state, nor subordinate participant in the masculinist hegemony, but agents and actors in their own life. So a lot of people think, because this is Islam, then it is that Minang women are inferior. But then the adat, the customary law, said that women and men have equal position. Okay, next, please. So women have many roles according to their age, social status, and wealth. They are aware of their responsibilities, and culturally they get full support for higher education and career. They can speak for themselves, and they are not marginalized. So women in Minangkabau culture, during meetings, or what we call the cultural meetings, or tradition, during the traditional events, ceremonies, women's voices or opinions are really important. A senior wealthy woman has the power to make decisions on her ancestral land and her kin. They create and recreate households and matrilineal relations in which they are privileged with certain economic and social rights that men lack. Next, please. Okay, now we talk about men's role, because I don't want to say only about women, so men will get really upset. Men traditionally do not have space in their home after the age of 10. In the past, traditionally, a boy should leave his mother's house, or the big house, and he should be together with his friends, in a small mosque, to learn Quran and Islam, and also they learn self-defense like silat. According to Islamic teachings, the bride moving to the husband's family home, in general. So in some culture, if they follow Islamic teaching, so the men, after they get married, they move to the woman moved to the men's house. But in Minangkabau custom, the groom lives in his wife's family house. Traditionally, a man's leave is permanent. So they cannot return to their home, to his home, because especially when he divorces his wife or his wife dies, he cannot return to his mother's house, but he can return to his surau or to the mosque, because the house belongs to the girls, so he cannot return to his house. Okay, next. Okay. Now, wedding. Wedding is a big family affair. The big family on both sides are important. So there is no one is more important than the others. Especially the role of the uncle from mother's side, or what we call mama, plays important role for wedding. after a man gets married, he is treated as a guest in his wife's house, and he is called Urang Sumando, like because he is a guest, so he gets this reference name. And he can refer to his mother's house as the place where he comes from, as rumah tunjuk, or what we call the fingers or pointing house. Like he said, where are you from? So and then he points to that house, like I am from that big house. Like that's like rumah tunjuk, we call it, like the pointing house. The dowry is based on the discussion by the family of the bride. In some areas, it depends on the education, the social status of the family, and profession of the prospective husband. And inheritance such as rice field, houses is passed on to daughters. Yeah? Another culture is only to the youngest, or to, so it's a little bit different, but in Minangkabau, to daughters. So the child take mother's clan, and the man is considered as a guest in his wife's house. So, for example, my clan is Tanjung. So Tanjung is my mother's clan. Yeah. Okay. Next. Now, I just want to show you a little bit how weddings reception nowadays modern, and on the left, yeah, there's my friends, and this my families there, and then also a little bit traditional, but not really traditional. So they walk together to the reception place, or the location of the house of the woman. Yeah? So the man will be accompanied by his family, but he is picked up by the woman's relatives and family. Okay, next please. And there's another costume, so you can see that they wear different traditional costume, and this is like very traditional with the horses, carts, and then they normally go around to the destination, and it can be just only 2 carts or with the horses, and it depends like how rich they are. And this is like what we call the wealth of the family is shown during the wedding parties, like in many countries also. And this is another wedding ceremony, like the costume is completely different. Next please. Okay, now Minangkabau's women's position has become stronger as a result of the combination of custom and Islam. Minang women in the Matrilineal community are doubly protected. Yeah? According to the customary law, one in the form of heritage and uncles or maternal uncles protection. So she gets protection from her uncle, and she also get protection according to Islam in the form of her husband's income. So many people told me like, oh, so Minang women are rich because they get like protection from the uncles, and then also gets from the husband income. So women in control. So some people from Java Islands and some other like Kalimantan, they are worried to marry a Minang woman, because they say, oh, we don't have anything anymore after we marry a Minang woman. So having a double protection, it enables women to do things by herself, and they receive respect and high status, and have the rights to express her opinion in the adat meeting. Through Islamization and Dutch colonization, Minang people have managed to keep and develop their matrilineal system and adat. Okay, next please. Okay, a Minang woman after getting married has more responsibilities. So we are talking about how women, like during this pandemic time soon, and as a mother, she has a very special position in the family, as I have mentioned earlier. And the oldest woman is referred as Bundok Kanduang, a role which is very important than ultimate. It means ancestress, a senior and a wise woman. Bundok Kanduang is symbolized as Limpapeh Rumah Gadang. So that's what as I mentioned earlier. So, and also like the butterfly of the big house. Amban Purwa, the key keeper of the heritage crop. So she's in charge to manage the rice field, the land, and also the income of the big house. Bundok Kanduang is the first and foremost the name of the wise, intelligent, and fair queen mother in the well-known Minangkabau myth, Cindua Mato, an honorific title used for senior women in Minangkabau. So we refer the one we respect from the big house as a Bundo Kanduang. Bundo Kanduang is the person to consult with and be honored in her community, but males play important roles beside her to speak for her and take the needed action. Next, please. And now, the manners. So, customary laws and the daily life, men and women should follow rules that has been taught to us. So, for example, what is acceptable to others is also good for you. So this is like when you behave, when you socialize with people, you should consider whether it is acceptable or not, whether it is good or not, and it is good for you, then it means good for other people. And then we also, during interaction, we talk to people, we should be aware. Going up the road, Jalan Mendaki, that means whether I know that person is older than me, or the same age with me, or younger than me, or somebody that I don't really know. So we say that going up the road or going down the road, and flat road, where that means that the same age with me, somebody that I know very well, and sloping road, that means that I don't know this person very well, so I have to be very careful when I speak or when I behave, around these people. And identity. So Minang people should have what we call feelings, raso, and sensitivity. Pareso, that means checking whether, this is right or this is not right to do. And feeling bashful, that you know that when you make a mistake, that you should feel ashamed of what you do. For example, you don't care about your attitude, your manners, you should feel ashamed. Like, this is like compulsory to have. And being polite, so this is like one of the values that has been taught to Minangkabau people. Next, please. Okay, now about the women. Minang women are symbolized like alu tataruang patatigo, samui tapija indak mati. In this case, like if she is stumbled by the alu, that is the long stick, which is, a strong stick made of wood, it will be broken into three. And when she steps on an end, the end is not dead. So that means she knows how to walk and how to behave. So that this is like if she's like stumble into this alu, this stick, the stick will be broken into three. And then they are also stereotyped as strong, smart, confident, determined, graceful, and making decision policies in her family. Women are given privileged right, the line of descent from the mother's line, the big house to live, economic resources, and a voting right in a discussion. Women are gracious and gentle. They are supposed to be strong and assertive. So this is like one of the most requirements that a Minang woman should have, strong personality. Next, please. Okay, now the ideal one. So as I mentioned earlier, so the Bundo Kanduang is like this mythical queen, and she will always give the right advice, whether about how to conduct a ceremony and how to deal with family errands, And then women should have the characteristic of being flexible, skillful, beautiful, and smart. As a female, that the word comes from padusi, which means padu and isi, mix and feel. So a woman should have, being correct, being honest, smart and skillful, also good at in teaching and educated. So they should be educated and feeling bashful. Like they should be aware, like, when they make mistakes, so they are not supposed to make mistakes. So like, because you are the semi-mythical queen, that's the symbol. Okay, next. Okay, the migration. So as I said earlier, that Minang men, after 10 years old, the boys do not really have a position in the house anymore. So they are supposed to migrate. So to find experiences, So there is a saying, what we say, go to migrate first. At home, you are not useful yet. And so migration is the only way for the boys or for the young men to be more mature, and it is like the passage. The encouragement is only for young men, and women are supposed to look after the rumah gadang. But nowadays, of course, according to my research for when I studied in Japan, it is not really true anymore. And the migration principle, like the saying that the migrants have is like, once your village is left behind, it is a taboo to return home in misery. So there is a demand a pressure that they have to be very successful, and it is a shame for them to return home in misery. Okay, next please. Okay, and then the philosophy or the life guidance, yeah, when they are when they are not in their village, wherever you tread on the earth, it is there you hold up its sky. So it means a Minang should be aware about which part of the earth he or she stands on and respect the place and its people. This shows the flexibility of Minang people to be able to adjust themselves according to the local values, and wherever they are, they should follow the rules of the area where they stand. And migration area is described as the outside world magical and powerful. The successful migrant will make their village proud and will be praised. Minang people move after their homeland for better life and experiences or education, and many of them become successful, normally as traders, most of them, writers, intellectuals, and professionals. Next. Okay, now we talk about Corona a little bit. So that's the data from Monday. But there are more cases I read the last 2 days. It is really scary, and everybody in this world live in a very difficult time now. Okay, so we just keep that numbers. So what I mean here, what I want to show here, every country, as the Dean has mentioned, that also in the Philippines, life has become really difficult because of the COVID-19. We cannot go to work, we cannot do our work. Especially for people who have business, it has been really difficult. Okay, next please, next slide. Okay, now the implication. Okay, so everybody deals with financial problem. Yeah, for people who work have a regular salary, of course, this is not really a big deal. But for people who depends on the daily income, it's not easy. And having online learning is not easy because they need the gadgets like the smartphone, they need the internet, and some families and many of them cannot afford to have the internet access. They don't have the smartphone. And family problem because they lost their job, so there are more problems, occur. And social distancing makes it difficult also for us to interact, and business has become really has been really affected. And many husband and wife, they lost their job, their business have gone bankrupt, and the death of their beloved, that means they lost their, they could not get support anymore because the husband died or the father died. Yeah? And women in this case are in the front line to take care of their family, do their roles as the pillars of the family lives. So women have to be strong and to be able to support their family members. And nowadays, what I have seen around me, and also I have talked to some people, they try to do their best to help the children with their study. If they don't have the smartphone, the laptop, or the internet, they lend it. So the children can borrow it from their neighbors. They can go to some village has like a corner where children can go to get the internet access, to get the laptop, so they can send their homework, or they can get the material to study. And women in the village or the neighbors deliver food to people in need, and lend their gadget for the children in the neighborhood to study, and give private lesson. Private lesson is not really like going to the house, but they the neighbors can ask for English or mathematics, because sometimes the family, even the mother, is not educated. I talked to one woman. She said, I don't understand English. I just finished elementary school. How can I help my son who is in the junior high school? And they also sharing information how to go shopping, because we're afraid to do shopping in the supermarket or in the market. So WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook is the social media where people search for online shoppings. Okay, next please. Next slide. Okay. Now, it's really interesting for the migrants I want to show here. Before the lockdown, so when the government announced that, Jakarta will be locked and, areas in Indonesia are going to be in the situation of lockdown. So many Minang migrants, they returned home because they said, I have my house in my village and, my family will support me, so I will not be starved. But if I am in migration area, so if I don't have money, I will not get food, and who will help me? So they return home because they believe that anytime they can return home. And it shows that, the sense of belonging to the village is very strong. And during the pandemic, Minang women have been helping and supporting each other. So that means the sisterhood among Minang women has become stronger, and their position and roles are more challenging because of, a lot of problems occur, also helping the neighbors as they can, they do that as much as they can. Okay, next. Almost to the end. And then this Bahrizal Datuk Panghulu, he says that Bundo Kanduang is the central pillar of everything, who is glorified in the big house. And in the context of handling COVID-19, of course, their roles is extraordinary. They maintain household institutions to stay protected from COVID-19. They provide household education. Oh, sorry, that's not July 2020, it's 2020. And for the wider community to be protected from the danger of COVID-19, and they have to handle the situation fitly. They cannot neglect their responsibilities because they are raised with the knowledge of their roles in the big house. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, these are some pictures of the situation in the market in Padang city and the migrant who is waiting for to return home. And next picture, please. Okay, this is in the market. The cheap labor women work to clean the chili, the green chili, and the parking woman who has to go to work, although she is worried about her health and but she needs money for her children, and she has to go to work to face the hard life outside her house. So she cannot be just at home. Next. Because she has responsibilities for her family, and this is some women still go out to help the children, and especially the nurses or the doctors, they have to still go to the front line. Okay, next please. Okay, conclusion, this hard time is not only for West Sumatra province, as it is around the globe. And Minang women know lots of things have changed due to the COVID-19, and it has become harder. And Minang women are raised to be self-independent, wise, mature, strong, and believe in God. So being a Muslim, having the faith or Iman helps Minang women to stay strong. They don't easily give up and do what they can do to survive and keep praying to Allah. Besides having soft skill, they have a hard skill that can, support them financially. So they can do, they can sell food by cooking. They can do sewing, making the mask, and they can gardening. Like flowers now has become really trend because people spend time at home. So they can do gardening, and other women sell the flowers, and so they help each other. And so during the pandemic COVID-19, so women stay strong, calm, as well as to be more persistent, determined, assertive, and decisive. So during this hard life, they know that it has become more than in the past. All right. I think that's next slide. I think thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope I can answer the question, the difference between matrilineal and how it is matrilineal system in West Sumatra. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Dr. Dia. Actually, I feel a bit empowered learning about your culture there in West Sumatra. And it's really important to recognize the role of the women, especially in the pandemic. And it's very nice to hear about your culture and having this kind of perspective that since we already have this, what do you call this value or this responsibilities of women, it's good that they are helping how we can handle or better manage the pandemic within our family and within the community. So thank you very much. I'm enlightened with your presentation. Thank you very much. So I'm sure there are a lot of questions on this topic because we're confused. Actually, it's my first time to be acquainted with this term or concept of matrilineal because I only know matriarchal, and of course you have differentiated it in the first part of our presentation. So we will be answering, or you will be answering some of the questions of our audience. So I'll just take a look in our question box if there are any questions. So maybe you can have a quick break and drink some water.
Yeah, okay. That's very thoughtful of you. Okay.
Wait, just a minute, Dr. Dia. I'm trying. Okay, we have. I have to share the questions to your screen. A moment. I'm sorry. So everyone were asked to go to menti.com and send in their questions. So the first question we're going to try to answer is, wait. Okay. Slide. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, so this one, the question is, what important aspect of women's health is vital in the COVID pandemic?
Shall I just answer that one by one?
Or whichever you prefer. Do you want to look at all the answers? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So thank you for the question. What important aspect of women's health is vital in COVID pandemic? So yeah, I mean, I think it's in general, it is the same. The women first should be the one is at the front line. They should protect themselves first, because they are the one, is like what we call the leader, and the one who is going to like followed by her family members. So health here in this case, like being clean, and that means clean. They have to wash their hands, and then teach them to teach how to wash their hands. For example, like, you know, we do that. We are told to do that because of the COVID. So for Minangkabau women, as they have been raised with some values and roles that they have to follow, so they should, like, you know, really be more disciplined, that, you know, clean and discipline to, you know, to tell their children not to go out and to stay home. I see, you know, I've seen, like, my neighbors have been struggling to tell their children not to go, because, you know, children, when they get bored, they want to go out, they want to meet their friends. So so women in this case, like, try to control the family members, follow the rules, wearing the mask, clean the, you know, their hands before they enter the house, but also, like, tell the family members not to go out if it is not really necessary to go out. But some, you know, some students still are asked by their teachers to go to deliver their homework sometime, you know, or to pick up something from the school. So normally women accompany their children to school to do some errands. Okay, yeah, I hope I have answered that question.
Thank you, Dr. Dia. The next question is, what are the contrasting difference in terms of the management of this pandemic between matrilineal against patrilineal society?
Okay, I think that to answer this question is kind of somehow related to the first question. As I said, that how it is handled by the matrilineal society. As I said, that in matrilineal Minangkabau, the matrilineal society in Minangkabau is the woman as the leader in the house, so they are in charge to, to control, to manage, to give suggestion, to advise their family members. So women are more in control to handle the situation, the difficult, situation. For example, children or sometimes guests still want to visit. I remember I interviewed some women. They say, "Oh, my distant relative, they just come back and they wanted to visit us." So it's really difficult for them to say no, but then they have to be strong to say no. We don't take guests in our house. And how it is like different with patriarchal society and patrilineal societies. I think as we know that in patrilineal societies, is the man is in charge. So man is I think tells the family members and how to handle the situation. So I think in this case is the role of the women in matrilineal society, and in patriarchal, I think it's more on the on the father to handle the management, like in the income also. So in the matrilineal society, income is managed by women. So for example, the husband income has become really low, and then of course is the woman has to be smart in spending money and how to manage that amount of money, small amount of money. But in the patriarchal, patrilineal societies, I think still the man in charge to manage his income for his family members.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
Yeah, that's my answer. Okay, when did female inferiority idea started and whose idea was it? Wow. And female inferiority, I think it goes along with the existence of matrilineal system in West Sumatra. I have read some article that the matrilineal system in West Sumatra is closely related or influenced by the Hindu when the Indian people come. In Padang, for example, we have people from India. I don't know really where their ancestor came from, but I read some article. It is believed that the ideas of matrilineal after, it came to this society a long time ago when the Hindu traders came. So the female inferiority idea started, I think, in Minangkabau, we don't have the, as I said earlier, women are not inferior. So the inferiority, I think, is mostly in the patriarchal societies. If we talk about general patriarchal societies, so woman is the subordinate and man is the superior. So in that case, the woman become the inferior. So this, I understand that it's more into the situation for patriarchal societies, but not in the matrilineal societies. However, in Islam, it is true, the female inferiority. But then, because of the adat, the customary law, matrilineal system in Minangkabau has given the woman the right, so they are in the balanced relationship with the men. I think that is my answer.
Thank you, Dr. Dia. In connection with that, I have a follow-up question. So you said that our females have a very good standing in the society in Minangkabau. Is it also the same in terms of in the economy? Like they also have the same, because in some societies, males or females have different salaries, or they are paid differently. Usually males are paid higher, but in your context, in your culture, is this also happening? Is the male or female paid higher?
What kind of job? Yeah, what kind of job that the women have? Like around me, my friends, my colleagues, and my neighbors, and also based on my research on migration. It depends on what kind of job the husbands and the wives have. So, for example, there are some women who earns more money than the husband, and whether the husband feel inferior, but according to Islam, as a wife, Minang woman should respect her husband. So, that's what I call that the balanced relationship, when the woman feels that she is superior regarding the income, but she should be in the position as a Muslim woman. That means she has to respect her husband, and still the husband is how to say is respected, and always like she has to ask for permission. I remember when I did research, she earns much more money than her husband, and she said even to change the curtain in her house, she doesn't just change the curtain or buy because she has money, and she will ask the permission for her husband whether it is okay to change the curtain, although she has money to do that. But it is like you know, it depends on the what kind of job, but still in the family, how to say, management, the daily life, women put the husband as the leader in the house.
I see. Thank you so much for answering my question. I think we have another one. Just a moment. Okay, there are more questions that I've added in the question box. Did we answer this one? Okay, we're on slide number 5. So what is, sorry, 5, okay. It's still loading, yeah, this one. What is the most important role of women in this time of pandemic in our society? I think this was already presented in your... Yeah, so can we move on to the next one? This one, in terms of policy making or, well, politics, are Minang women equal with men?
Okay, as I have put that in my slide, so what I mean making politics, is it like in the government level or is it in the village level?
I'm not sure, but maybe we can assume
in the village level, in the institution of the village, yeah, as in the clan, in the big house, women's voices or opinion or advice is always as how to say, as an important decision. So during the meeting, so when they have to decide something, you know, and the men have the meeting and women sit in the next room. So, and then after the discussion, before they decide it, they will ask the opinion or the suggestion or advice from the women. So although it is like the man who sits in the living room of the big house, but women sit a little bit outside, so they are not really sitting together in the same room but next room. But before the men, like, they will ask the opinion of the women. In this case is the oldest, the Bundo Kanduang, who is in charge to give advice and suggestions. So she is her opinion, she's in charge to tell her opinions before they make the decision. And if we talk about the normal government political situation, we do have some, you know, women represent women who sit in the House of Representatives. So politically, they can go also to the, you know, to the political arena. But of course, you know, because Minangkabau is just like a one province, and we have to deal with other provinces who have the patriarchal system. So it's not easy for Minang women and, you know, to go through to the arena of the Indonesian politics. I think that is the answer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Dr. Dia. The next one, Minang women have full control in matrilineal society. Do they have the same privilege and right? And full control of the family is married to male politicians. The context is male politicians.
Oh, that's interesting. As I said in the, I mean, traditionally, yeah, women have full control in matrilineal society. But regarding marriage, the uncles from the mother lines play important roles. Yeah. So do they have privilege and right? Well, regarding the ancestor line, regarding the giving the opinion, the oldest have the right. But if like personal, for example, a girl from the big house wants to get married with a male politician, of course, she can do that. as long as the uncles from the mother's side approve. So they will discuss it in a family discussion meeting, yeah, and then they will see whether the prospect of this future husband is good or not good. As I mentioned, that in some areas they see whether the man has a good education, like a bright future, whether he has enough income to protect, you know, their daughter, their niece. I mean, his niece. We talk about the uncle's perspective, whether the man can like protect his niece later on, you know. So they, of course, they can do, but it doesn't mean that there are not cases where during my study, some women, they were, I mean, they refused to, I mean, they were pushed to marry someone, yeah, from their relative, and she refused to do that, and then she had to leave the village. And then she went from to migrate to Jakarta because she didn't want to marry that man. She was in love with somebody else. So it doesn't mean that, well, you know, cases happen too. So, but of course they can do, I mean, they can decide, you know, who to marry. But of course, to approve it, they need the permission from her uncles, yeah, from the mother's side, not from the father's side. It's from the mother's side.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dia.
Of course, the mother will also persuade the uncles, you know, to approve the idea. Okay.
In connection with that, this next question: can a society be matrilineal but patriarchal? Because you said when a mother or when a female wants to marry this person, she has to consult or has to gain the approval of his uncles.
Uncle,
So
but not from the father's side.
But
okay. So
males.
whether it is patriarchal values, I think that's how the balance relationship between women and men in Minangkabau culture. So whether it is patriarchal, no, but because the opinion is needed, but not in every, how do you say, in every step of like marriage that the men play roles. So only to decide in the meeting whether, you know, it is, you know, they can do that, like, you know, is that man is accepted or not. So it's from the uncles of the mother's brothers. So whether it is patriarchal, I don't think so, because the man there is like in the equal relationship with the women, because I think the Bundo Kanduang as the eldest women who see is, her opinion will be considered as well.
I see. So it's like putting in this question in perspective. The uncles are still deciding or making a decision based on what is the best interest of the matrilineal clan or the clan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, I mean, the uncles cannot just make a decision, because still the uncles need the opinion from the oldest women in the matrilineal, in the society, in the big house.
Okay, got it. This one. Is the pandemic making it harder for the Minangkabau women?
I think in general, I would say it is.
Yeah.
Even, for example, I mean, if we see people from the upper class, for example, maybe financially they are not really affected, you know, like the cheap labor or women who depends on the daily income, like, you know, women who sell vegetable or, you know, based on the husband's income. Yeah. So it is hard, not only regarding the income, but it is also hard to run the house with the online learning. So for example, my colleagues here as a lecturer, you know, they are able to supervise the children, but it makes it harder because they have to do their work, you know, teaching also for the university, but at the same time they have to help the children, because the children doesn't understand, the children do not understand mathematics or English, you know, because they are not in the English department. So of course it is also difficult. So it is, the pandemic is not only difficult for, you know, some people or some countries,
Yeah.
but it's also difficult for Minangkabau women because more burden for them because that as I mentioned earlier, women already as the leader in the house, and now more work as to help people and also to help the other distant family members, and also to help the children to continue learning online or to study online.
Yeah, that's right, Dr. Dia. I guess this applies to all because we're all forced to adjust in this pandemic situation.
Yeah, I think in the Philippines, I've seen some news. It is the same. Like even for America, the American women, or societies, and especially for people who are, who live in a very poor country, like in South Africa or America, something like that. Indonesia also has a lot of poor people. The poverty, it doesn't mean it's not issue. A lot of the poverty percentage has increased after the lockdown. That's why people scream. They need income. They need food. Government tried to help, but it's not enough. Like we got like around 600, 900,000 rupiah. That's really very, very little. Especially if they have more than 2 children, is really difficult. So that's why women take action. They help each other, like make collect the donation, deliver food, the basic needs like rice, eggs, and cooking oil. So they deliver what we call the package for the poor people.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, this next question is about issues on domestic violence. I'm not sure if perhaps there is, but if you can confirm, are there any issues of domestic violence present in your context, in your area?
Oh yeah. I mean, there are. I mean, I read some in the news, like the husband, because he lost his job and he got like stressed. There is like now it doesn't mean that a woman, because Minangkabau women are in control, that there is no domestic violence. Is between men and women's relationship is nothing to do, but of course there is protection. So when the Minangkabau woman, for example, there's a woman, a friend of mine that I knew, as she was abused or verbally abused, she could report this to her big family, to the rumah gadang, so she could ask for advice. In this case, because she lives in her own house, for example, in quotation mark, so she lived in her own house, so somehow the domestic has been, let's say, less, compared to women in Indonesia from the patriarchal society. So because if she lives in her own house, I make a joke, like my friend will make a joke like this. Oh, because the man lives in my house, so if they don't treat me well, I kick him out. So that's the joke, but so this is what it means, that because the man is a guest in the house. So if something happened, like they do like this domestic violence, of course it's not only that the woman should handle it by herself. She can talk to her big family from the big house.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dia. This one, what will the family do if a 10-year-old boy or the adolescents refuse to leave? Is there any case that a 10-year-old boy or an adolescent
traditionally, as I said, traditionally, long time ago, a 10-year-old boy will are supposed to live. There is no way that traditionally that the house, I mean, that he can stay in the house, because the big house is for the girls, for the daughters. There is no room. Like if you see, if you can Google it later on YouTube, the big house doesn't have many rooms. It looks like big, really big, but normally the bedroom, there are only 3 or 4. It depends how big the house is. So there is no chance that the 10-year-old could stay. Of course, for the modern family, like in Padang, as the capital city, my brother, my nephews, they still live in the house with the family, with the father and mother. But what I mean here, this is traditionally in the Minangkabau traditional way of life, the 10-year-old boy should leave. There is no, because he doesn't have a space, like he doesn't have space in the big house. So there is no chance that he would stay, like refuse. And I think because of these values that has been raised to them, I mean, has been taught to them, so they are raised with those values, automatically they should feel ashamed, or their friends will, you know, make fun of them, like if he doesn't want to leave the house. But of course, in modern family, like my nephews, modern family, they still live in the house. Like we talk about nowadays, somehow it has changed. It doesn't mean that, you know, but this is like the traditional, ideally Minangkabau system.
I see. This one, the last question. You have any thoughts about women's resiliency as a mother, worker, frontliner, and other roles she has that a woman has?
Of course, like how to say, I do really appreciate, you know, women have become tougher, and it doesn't mean that they don't complain. Of course, they complain, you know, but I do respect that they believe in God, that makes them stronger. That makes them stronger. So the being resilient is one way that they believe God has given this to everybody, you know, in the world, because it's not like pandemic, COVID-19, it's not only in West Sumatra, or it's not only in the Asian countries, it's everywhere in the world. So it affects, you know, and we just have to be in this, like, you know, Filipinos mothers and, you know, Japanese mothers or African, whatever. We are in the same path now, like in the same road or the same train, let's say that like that. So, you know, struggles and hard life and, you know, problems that we have to face, we just help each other. You know, for example, funny thing I mentioned, in the dormitory of our campus now, because the students has, you know, gone back to their village, you know, some cats has become stray cats, and they become really skinny and they don't get food. So, you know, my friend, she's in the organization of the cat lovers, so she tried to get donation to help the animals, you know, who has been left behind by the students around the dormitory. That is really like a small thing, that how women, you know, take action, not only to support people, but also the animal who have been, you know, as the victim also due to the pandemic.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Dia. I think that wraps up our presentation for this webinar. Terima kasih, Dr. Dia, for the time and knowledge.
It's really an honor. Thank you very much for, I mean, to everyone also for staying here and, you know, listening to my presentation. I hope I have like given some ideas about matrilineal system in Minangkabau or West Sumatra.
Well, I'm very sure that your presentation will be starting a new conversation regarding the roles of women and this concept of a matrilineal society. So thank you again, Dr. Dia, and of course,
thank you very much. And thank you to Dr. Melvin Habar also for inviting me. It's such an honor.
Yes, Dr. Dia, thank you very much. Also, thank you to all participants from our Zoom and FB Live. So we appreciate your active participation in our online event, and please give us a feedback through the evaluation form. For the next webinar, we will have a two-part presentation. This will be from a postdoctoral fellow from the University of, wait a minute, from the University of Tokyo, Dr. Dipesh Karel. Let me just share you the presentation on that. Okay. So these are the upcoming webinars we'll be having. For September 29 and September 30, this will be a two-part webinar series. The first part will be a presentation of it's a Zoom public viewing, a documentary on children of the migrant village. And the second one, for the next day, it will be the main presentation of Dr. Dipesh Karel doing visual ethnography in a pandemic. This will be on September 30, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. So if you have not yet registered for this two-part webinar series, kindly scan the codes that you see for each part, or just click on the link that you see on our events page. And then for the next presentation, it's Dr. Joanna Ozulweta. She will be speaking on older female migrants and their team in the homeland, transnational caregiving practices among Filipinas in Japan. So this will be on November 6th at 10 a.m. Dr. Zulweta is an associate professor of sociology in Soka University, Japan. So just to share with everyone, we have just completed the first research webinar training last September 11 with more than 300 participants. This was facilitated by 2 faculty members and seasoned researchers from the College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Antonio Contreras and Dr. Myla Arcina. We are still working on the next schedule of trainings and line of topics, and the next line of topics. And in this regard, SDRC is also offering online capacity building and training workshops, not limited to the following topics: action research in education, for community projects, qualitative research, research analysis, quantitative research, research analysis, participatory action research, and evaluation research. So just go to our Facebook page and you can take a look at the events that we have lined up for this year. Just please note that there is a minimum number of participants required, so 50 participants are required to organize this workshop, which will be facilitated by faculty members of the De La Salle University. Included in your online kit will be an e-certificate and training material. And so again, please like, follow, and share our Facebook page to get updates on the center's next activity. On behalf of the SDRC team, thank you and stay safe. Terima kasih, selamat tinggal.
Terima kasih. Sampai.
Terima kasih.
Thank you to all.